We have escalating violence in Myanmar. It is dominating talks at the ASEAN summit in Labuan Bajo. Bloc chair Indonesia says that the bloc is at a crossroad, and it noted that crisis after crisis is testing the region's strength. Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi says that ASEAN needs to work harder to address challenges in the Indo-Pacific.
The role of ASEAN is instrumental for peace, stability and prosperity of the region. We cannot imagine what will happen in this region if we don't have ASEAN, but we cannot be complacent.
The high-level meetings come just a day after an attack on an aid convoy in Myanmar. Diplomats from Indonesia and Singapore were caught in the incident but left unharmed. Foreign ministers have discussed ways to bring an end to the violence in Myanmar and to implement the 5-point consensus agreed to 2 years ago. Myanmar's military government has all but ignored the measure. For more on the ASEAN summit, Chani Vatbani joins us live. She is in Labuan Bajo. Good evening to you. Chani, Indonesia's foreign minister warns of even bigger challenges ahead for ASEAN. How is this summit actually going to tackle the complex issues that the region faces, particularly the ongoing and deadly violence that we've seen in Myanmar?
Well, Foreign Affairs Minister Retno Marsudi in media statements earlier shared that there had been a lot of discussions on the Myanmar issue with the other foreign ministers. Now, she also, including the issue on the attack on the humanitarian aid convoy. And now she also shared, or rather indicated, that there would be discussions as well regarding the implementation of the 5-point consensus. Remember, President Joko Widodo yesterday as well made very clear that Indonesia, in its ASEAN chairmanship, will continue to push for the implementation of this 5-point consensus. Now, we know that he has invited all parties to the table to create a space for dialogues together and negotiations together. So it appears that at the summit, with regards to Myanmar, certainly discussions will be taking place to further those points and the implementation of the 5-point consensus as well.
Well, those negotiations and talks are going to take place, but what about outcomes, Chani? Are we expecting anything concrete from the ASEAN summit in the coming days?
Well, at this point, we've heard from Foreign Affairs Minister Retno Marsudi, who in earlier media statements shared that Indonesia had had bilateral meetings with Malaysia, Vietnam, Laos and Timor-Leste. Now, among some of the key points that she shared was that President Joko Widodo has highlighted that during Indonesia's chairmanship, the roadmap for Timor-Leste to become a full ASEAN member will be agreed upon. Now, it is hoped that Timor-Leste will be able to comply with the various criteria that is going to be outlined in this roadmap that is to be adopted at this summit so that it may become a full-fledged ASEAN member very soon. In addition to that, as we know, President Joko Widodo has also highlighted another key issue, which is human trafficking. And now President Joko Widodo has said that human trafficking is a very important issue. It needs to be eradicated completely. Now, in fact, this issue was deliberately proposed by Indonesia because its victims are from ASEAN and majority from Indonesia. So we know at this summit that there is going to be a cooperation agreement that is to be adopted with regards to dealing with human trafficking due to the misuse of technology.
Chani, thank you very much for that. Chani Vatbani there in Labuan Bajo, Indonesia.